Thousands of workers in the platinum mining sector are set to lose their jobs. Platinum producers Impala, Anglo and Sibanye Stillwater have announced retrenchment plans. The companies attribute the retrenchments to inflation and a sharp decline in platinum group metal pricing. Let's now get analysis from a mining expert and a director of mining at Modern Corporate Solutions, Peter Major. Peter, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. Let's start here. Yesterday, the Business Day reporting that with the announcement that has been made by Impala Platinum, it would mean that we could see around 8,000 jobs cumulatively across the platinum mining sector being lost in that sector. What's your take on it?
Look, it's obviously not good news, and nobody likes laying people off, especially the mining companies that train them, hired them, train them, have them in very useful jobs. To let these trained people go, it means you're going to have lower production. But right now, if you're losing money on every ton, then you're going to have to go to lower production. People aren't trying to make more money by laying people off. They're actually trying to stem the bleeding. They're trying to stem the losses. And it is a combination, as you said right at the start. We've had metal prices fall almost 50% the last 18 months. Prices are where they were 6 years ago. But unfortunately, our costs are a hell of a lot higher than 6 years ago. In most instances, our costs are 50% higher. So you can imagine, you got the same metal prices as 5-6 years ago, and you got costs 50% higher. Your margin is just wiped out. And it's almost like a Titanic hitting an iceberg. You've just got to stop the water rushing in before it sinks the whole ship. And that's the whole idea of these retrenchments. It's not playing politics. It's not war games. It's not anybody being cute. It's just we got to stem the losses and regroup until PGM prices recover. And they do seem to have bottomed. They do seem willing to go up with these other metal prices, but it's not going up yet.
Yeah, and if we look at the metal prices, specifically focusing now on platinum prices, per ounce in 2021 February, we had the highest at around $1,293.10 an ounce, and that has now plunged to around $922.10. What has led to this? What leads to this ebb and flow that we experience in the mining sector, and specifically when it comes to platinum?
No, you don't have to say specifically platinum. It happens to all of them. But in the last 4 years, we did see insane prices on the PGM prices. In fact, platinum behaved very well. Platinum was $2,200 an ounce back in 2007, 2008. But this time, it was its brother and sister that went up. Rhodium, which had never been higher than $10,000 an ounce, only twice in the history of man, went up to $30,000 an ounce. And palladium, which had only cracked 1,000 an ounce once or twice in the history of man, went up to 3,000. So those were unbelievably high prices, and the platinum mines made an unbelievable amount of money.
Yep.
But we know they can spend money as fast as they make it. And that's what happened.
Yeah, and we remember, of course, that Neil Froneman, the CEO of Sibanye Stillwater, also cashed on in that with a 300 million rand payout that was about in 2021. But I want to know what causes that ebb and flow. What is that thing? Where is it that the price of platinum is being determined? And also, if we look at where the price of platinum is being determined, considering that South Africa has the largest depository of around 70% of platinum, do you think that South Africa shouldn't be playing a role in determining the price of platinum?
Look, that would be great if we could. That's what Cecil Rhodes attempted to do and did a pretty good job with De Beers. But people are always opening up a diamond mine somewhere else and dumping diamond prices, and then everybody lost money. And that's what Rockefeller did in the oil industry. Everybody was pumping oil and nobody was making money. So they were shooting each other, just like they were on the diamond fields. Gold, funny enough, seems to be the only commodity that you can't mine too much of. So everybody's friendly in gold. But you're very right. We have probably 70, 80% of world reserves. We're producing 70% of new mine production. And if we don't try and get a handle on it, if we don't get closer to the end user and the producer, we are going to be subjected to these huge swings. So, you know, monopolies, we know, are not favored, but if you don't have some kind of syndicate, if you don't have some kind of organization, this is going to be like the oil fields or the diamond fields before they had order, that everybody loses money and the swings go up and down. And you can't have a stable industry. You can't have stable employment, and you'll never get investment if you can't control somewhat either the price, the production, or how you buffer yourself against swings in price.
Yeah, exactly. So why is South Africa not doing it? For instance, if we look at the OPEC nations, which is an intergovernmental institution, these are actually governments that are coming together, and there are discussions and conversations that happen around determining the price of oil, for instance, and also sometimes how much oil should be pumped out. Why is South Africa's voice absent in the platinum sector when it comes to the determination of price?
You started this conversation, you started this sentence with the most important word of all, government. OPEC governments are getting together and discussing production. OPEC governments are discussing working with each other. Our government doesn't have time to discuss this with important players internationally because it's always running for office. It's always playing politics. If this government was concerned about the people in the country, it would be doing exactly what you have just said. It would be sitting at round tables and organizing, let's have talks here. And government and industry have to work hand in glove because these are the nation's minerals. So government should know what the mines are doing, what the mining companies are doing, what they want to do. Government should know what help they need. How can government help these companies? Instead of being at loggerheads and demonizing them and trying to score political points, they should be working with them because this country is supposed to be for the people and the government's supposed to be for the people.
Okay. Looking at the job cuts, of course, as you say, that this is not something that, you know, even mining companies would want to do. But should we understand jobs in the mining sector to almost be like what we see in the agricultural sector, where it is seasonal? Sometimes you're going to have a great season with great harvest, and sometimes it's going to be terrible. And it means that there would be job cuts.
No. If you don't take corrective action, if you don't have a strong balance sheet, if you don't have good long-term planning and consistent government policy, then it will be like the agriculture sector. Think back to the gold price. From 1933 to 1973, gold did nothing. It didn't move. It stayed at $35 an ounce for 40 years. We put the rest of the world out of business because we had good government policies that worked hand in hand with industry. And the Afrikaner and the English did not like each other that much. The English caused a lot of hardship to the Afrikaner. That Boer War was devastating. That was genocide. But they knew they had to work together, and we did. We worked together. We added employment. Even though the gold price didn't go up, costs were cut left and right. It was ruthless. Nobody made much money. But we kept the mines open and we kept full employment. And so it can be done, but people have to work together. Yep. Your whole idea in this business is be lower cost quartile. You want the other guy in the other country to lay his people off and go bust before you do.
Yeah, and of course we don't want an apartheid-style government, right? However, though, the point that you do make is...
not at all.
Yeah. The point that you do make is the role of the government. What do you think should happen immediately?
Immediately, you call a roundtable discussion and you say, does our policy fit reality? Does our legislation fit reality? Is our legislation based on historical grievances? Is it based on grudges? Is it based on getting even? Is it based on a bunch of people who see the world in a way that the rest of the world doesn't see it? You know, what is our policy and legislation based on? And how can anybody follow 2,000 pieces of regulation, 3,000 policy changes, when I can't find anybody in the country that can follow the 10 Commandments? So, yeah, Government and business have to work together. They don't have to like each other, but they have to care for the country and care for each other's survival. And they won't do that. They can't do that if they're not talking genuinely open cards and saying, hey, it's kind of us against the world here. We've got all the minerals. We've got people that need jobs. We need a country that needs industry, but we can't get that if we don't work together.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. That is a mining expert and director of mining at Modern Corporate Solutions, Peter Major. Care for the country and its people. We're going to take